In the summer of 2018, I had just finished having dinner with the elders and a few staff of Christ Church. My wife Chris and I were here interviewing for the weekend and meeting everyone and checking things out. Standing outside the restaurant, we simply began to dream about the kind of future and impact that God might want Christ Church to have in this community. It was obvious to all of us that something amazing could happen to see more and more people encounter a life-changing relationship with Jesus. And as exciting as that was, we had a sense from God, a prompting, that He was going to use the people of Christ Church to continue bringing hope to the people of Camden County in a way that maybe we could not even really envision yet. It was the same prompting that a small group of people responded to 15 years ago when they stepped out in faith, believing that God might want to do a new thing among the people in Camden County through a new expression of church. They began meeting in living rooms and back porches and soon realized that God's blessing was on this. So they responded to His invitation to keep moving forward and made room for more by moving to the Lions Club and then the Rec Center. And it was obvious that God's Spirit was moving, so the people of Christ Church moved. And they took a huge step of faith forward once again when they bought the property on Kings Bay Road. And every move along the way has required courage and faith and a belief that God has always had so much more for His people and His church. Since those faith-filled beginnings 15 years ago, Christ Church has always taken steps to move forward as God leads. To build an auditorium, to build a kids building, to give away Christmas offerings to meet needs in our community and pay medical debt and start our Hope 1312 foster care ministry. As a matter of fact, you're watching this right now because someone in the past, by faith, took a courageous step forward. And right now, I, along with the leaders of our church, believe God is inviting us to take another courageous step of faith forward to make an even greater impact in the lives of people all around us. This is the right time because it's an important time full of unprecedented opportunity. It's an important time in the history of our world as people are less and less identifying with religion or faith. And yet people have questions and are open to answers that are found in Jesus. There are more people around you right now where you live and work and study and play who don't have a relationship with Jesus than any time in history. This is the right time because it's one of the most important times in the history of Camden County. Our area is growing. Things are being built. People are moving in. Our largest group of people is under the age of 20, while we also have an increasing number of 65-year-olds and above. And it's one of the most important times in the history of Christ Church. We have a clear vision and mission, we have spiritual momentum, and we serve a God who constantly promises to be with us. And that's why it's essential that we capitalize on the opportunity that's in front of us and go forward. Forward is a spiritual growth initiative that calls us to courageous generosity so that we can accelerate our mission to see disconnected and unfulfilled people find a full life in Jesus. It's a commitment to trusting God with growing faith, to envision the future of our community and Christ's church place in it. Now, as a church, we are for some very specific things. We're for Jesus, we are for each other, and we are for Camden, which is why I love the theme that we have chosen for this particular initiative. Not only does it indicate the movement to step into what God has for us, it emphasizes the things that we really care about. So we are going on a 2-year journey, and I'm calling on every person who calls Christ Church their home to be radically generous so we can make the biggest impact possible at this time. Our primary goal through all of this is that we have 100% engagement. That means to be here or to watch our teaching series, to participate in a small group, and to ask God how He would like you to go forward. Our secondary goal is to collectively contribute $4 million over the next 2 years. This will allow us to do 3 essential things. Forward will help us create some margin, meaning just by simply making a commitment, we can have a better grasp on an expected budget for the next 2 years. That will allow us to better handle the resources we have, to potentially refinance or restructure our loan and work towards debt reduction. Forward will allow us to expand ministry. The crucial ministry we're currently doing, like Christ Kids and Chaos, our summer camps, resourcing our Hope 1312 ministry, and some exciting new things that we can step into and offer for our community. Let me be clear on this point. Half of the $4 million is an approximation of our 2-year budget. So a commitment to Forward enables us to continue to see life change in the things we currently do and care about as a church. And Forward will certainly help to accelerate our mission to see disconnected and unfulfilled people find this full life in Jesus. We've been working on ideas for a facility that will be on our property that is truly for Camden. One side is dedicated to ministry and open to groups in our community that might need a welcoming space. These are living room environments open to support groups and recovery groups, and for life-changing conversation around family and foster care. It could potentially house a larger and more vibrant Hope Closet that's already meeting so many needs in our community. The other part of this For Camden building will house an indoor soccer field that can be a multi-use space for a variety of things. Not only could we host soccer practices, games, and tournaments, but the possibilities are numerous. I mean, how about some flag football, anyone? In addition to that field, it will provide space for an indoor pickleball court. I mean, can you believe that's the fastest growing sport in America? Now, I think some amazing opportunities for ministry can occur in a facility like that as we build a bridge to the people in our community. And don't miss this. One of the reasons for stepping into this initiative is that we're able to build that facility without incurring more debt. You know, I've been amazed at how we're growing in generosity as a church. If we were to continue on our current giving pace over the next 2 years, collectively we will contribute nearly $2 million. So what we're asking here is that God would enable us to give an additional $2 million. Can you imagine the kind of impact we could have in this community in the next year or two, 5 years down the road when we celebrate our 20th anniversary? I mean, can you imagine if we could actually create the margin and allow ourselves to have some breathing room, or have the flexibility to pivot and respond to needs we don't even know about? Could you allow yourself to maybe see a building that is for Camden, and the people who would potentially walk in and out of its doors, and the stories we will tell? I mean, I could picture a lonely kid and a loving family having difficult conversations in an inviting and calming environment. I could picture untold numbers of families, parents and kids that we can walk with through life-changing moments that we could rewrite and tell better stories. Or imagine if a teenager who had no church connections was most closely associated with Christ Church simply because they were on our property. I mean, I could see it. I could see kids because they stepped onto a soccer field, or adults because they stepped onto a court or stepped into a living room. Then maybe a step into that building would cause them to take a step into our kids' building or our auditorium, and ultimately step into a relationship with Jesus. And I love these words that we read in the book of Acts chapter 17, that God decided exactly when they should live, and He decided exactly where they should live. And God did this so that people would seek Him, and perhaps they would reach out for Him and find Him. It's just amazing to think that God has placed us where we are at this time and in this moment. And one of the reasons He did that is so that the people all around us would have the opportunity to come to know Him. And that's the opportunity and the invitation that requires us to go forward. See, God has entrusted to us the lives of people in our county who are not connected to a life-giving church, let alone a relationship with Jesus. So will you join me and keep showing them that we're for them? Because I believe that when they realize there's a group of people who are for them, they may choose to believe that God could be for them too. Hey, I am fully convinced, without a doubt, that we are positioned to be used by God in ways we didn't think were even possible a few years ago. And how we respond over the next few weeks is going to propel us into the next 15 years. I believe there is a bolder, more daring and courageous and faith-filled version of Christ Church, and you, that God is inviting to step forward, and I can't wait for us to discover it together.